Hello. June 29th, 2020. We're going to start off, I suppose, with what seems like um, perfect opportunities. This one opportunity that we were presented was we were in Milton at the time. We have a child, 3.5 years old at the time, and an old friend happened to be coming up and visiting families in Ontario. So I had gotten a hold of them, and we reconnected, and I found out that they had a restaurant on the Trans-Canada Highway, Junction Inn. So further talking about it, they told us that there was actually a house for sale in Shepardville. So we thought about it, and you know what? To raise our child, Ontario is a nice place. Newfoundland, to me, from here, much better. Not so many opportunities, but if you have a job, you can make a decent living for yourself. Look after your own, keep safe. Wonderful idea. So drove down. One wonderful adventure. The boat. Our boy pretty much lost his mind. Wondrous, wide-eyed, couldn't get enough of it. And upon driving out to the Junction Inn, because we had it arranged that we were going to be either staying with friends of ours or staying at the hotel, because they had just opened up their seasonal. They open up sometime in May, and they close when the snow flies, tourist season. So upon getting there, we ended up staying in the hotel for a couple of days, which we paid for. And then we had a chance to look at the house in Shepardville, 800 meters away, just up on the opposite side of the road on the Trans-Canada Highway, going towards Springdale. So we looked at the house. The property was a fair-sized property. I think it was maybe 100 by 2.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the homeowners, and we had been speaking with the homeowners via phone through Roger and Velma, with the owners of the Junction Inn, and we were talking to Perry and Leslie, and they reassured us that the house was incredible. You're not going to find one for that amount of money. $50,000 is what they were asking for the house. So we, with another friend, we drove up to Shepardville and had a look around at it. And on the outside, they needed tree clearing to keep it back. I mean, wild animals with a kid, you need to have a clear space. You can't have animals sneaking up on you. But anyway, some land clearing and some siding, and two of the wood garages had issues with them. But it's a little town based on a bog, and it shows. Not in a bad way, but not in a great way. Not in a great way either. For the most part, most of the people were, pretty friendly for newcomers. 95% of them are family. But you get your good, but you're not so good. Take it in stride. So wasn't there a week and started down at the Junction Inn, and was working there 3 days. And Velma had mentioned to me that, okay, well, Dan, we're going to have to, because we can't pay your full wages. There's a program with Services Canada, the local welfare office in Springdale. And she said, I'm going to be making a call the next day. So, of course, go in the next day, and she comes in the room where we're working, myself and Roger, and she hands me a phone. She says, look, this is the agent at at the office, and we're going to have it set up that they're going to pay half our wages, and Junction In is going to pay the other half. So I got on the phone with this lady and start giving her information. She said, "Well, when are you going to start working?" And I said, "Well, I have been working. I've been working for 3 days. Today now is my 4th day, and a couple of days with rather long hours." And she said, "Well, you no longer qualify for this." And I said, "Well, okay, thank you very much." So I handed the phone back to the owner of the Junction Inn, Velma, and so she asked me after she hung up the phone. She said, "Deanna," she said, "why did you tell her that you were already working here?" I said, "Well, geez, Velma, it's the government. You certainly don't want to go lying to them."
That's fraud. You can't do that.
So, never said anything. I wasn't asked to leave. Still working there. Was expected to go to a dump and use a different address so that we wouldn't be charged for disposal of certain items in the wrong places. Come to find out that all of the grease that they use in the restaurant, instead of disposing of it in a proper manner, they take it to Port Anson, right next to a mussel farm, and this is what they use to keep the fire going in the pit outside in their property. They've been doing this now for, well, as long as they own the Junction Inn. So you know what the ground is like over there now. Environment Canada, I would love to hear this. But in any case, hello.
Hello.
We're just doing a video.
Okay.
This is our boy. And he's
Love
gone
you
again.
guys.
He's a video kid. Can't get him outside enough. And in any case, thought he was coming back. Hoping he was coming back. Never see enough of him. So back to the story. Upon moving into the house, we were in the house at this point. There was a few issues. Water damage. They had a drain inside of the house that just made the house smell like a bog. Non-continuous joists in the floor. In one bedroom, there was a ceiling that had this wet spot. It was probably 2 feet by 2 feet, and they said that they had an inspector from the CIBC or the Scotiabank, one of those banks that they deal with from Springdale, and he couldn't explain what it was. So there was, along with the few issues that we had there, a couple of days that I had off, well, I'm going to have to take a look and see what's going on. There could be an animal up there dead, but in any case, I get up there, and the way they had their soffit done, well, snow was getting in. All I had to do was blow, and snow would accumulate, and after a while, there'd be enough snow, of course, to insulation is going to be soaked and make a pit. And then, of course, it would continue to come down through the ceiling. So as time goes on, 3 weeks at Junction Inn, my 3rd week at the end of the week, expecting to get paid. I'm thinking they're probably holding back a week. I'm explaining it to the wife when I get home that they're probably holding back a week, and we're probably going to get paid 2 weeks in a row for 2 weeks. So that never occurred. That didn't happen. So I told him, "Hey, I can't work here no more. I got a family to feed. We just came down. We're hoping to get this house as a reason at a reasonable price, because it's certainly not worth the money that they're asking for." And what makes it not worth the money that they were asking for is that we were told by a few people, non-family members, that the only reason they bought the house is because the house came with really nice snowblower, a quad, and
there was a snowmobile as well.
And a snowmobile, the 3 machines. So what these couple did, Perry and Leslie, was take out the prize that made the house worth buying. I think they said they paid 60 or 65,000, something like that. So they take out what made the house pleasant to attractive to consider buying were these machines. So what they did was they take out the machines. Of course, it's theirs, and then they deduct whatever they feel was correct, and then they try to sell a house for 50,000. Well, then we found out that some of the houses in there, you're not worth 10,000. Location, the community environment that it is, and lack of care done with the roads, and well, a few more issues, but we're not going to get into those personal things because that's none of our business. But in any case, so distraught. Here he goes. Distraught. We had to go to social services. Look at had a job. It fell through. I was supposed to get hired on through a subsidy through the government program, and they gave me the runaround. Never had a vehicle at this point in time, so I ended up having to hitchhike out to Grand Falls. Never had any IDs. Got everything straightened away. Wasn't the easiest. And then finally, we start receiving payments. Now, in the for the amount of money that you would give for living allowance for a family, I think we were getting 600. 600 every couple of weeks. So they were charging us 600 a month for rent in this house. And this was going on for a few months. I had a few other prospects for getting hired on, but because of my labeling, when people look me up, they say, "Oh, Jesus, he's got a criminal record. How can we extort this, or how can we use this against him?" Well, several ways, and one of them was that make it very difficult to get a job in Springdale. Couple of good leads, couple of good potentials. Was talking to one guy at Noble Lumber, a store in Springdale, and talking to him a few times, and it seemed like you're going to get hired on. You're going to get hired on. Now his brother works. He's one of the head at the social services department. Now they're in the same strip mall. One is on one end, one is on the other. So of course, okay, well I got a Deanne Roberts here, and he's on welfare looking for a job. So, oh Jesus, well he's on some form of registry. No, he's got a flag on him. You can't hire him. Make up some excuse. Escape sometimes. Apologies to whoever may offend. So that didn't work out. So we were stuck. We held on to the house as long as what we could, and it was brought up a few times that if you're going to buy the house, well, you need to buy it. Get it straightened out and buy it quick. Now Velma and those two that owns the house, Velma from Junction Inn and Leslie and Perry, they're friends. That's how we found out about the house. Well, when Velma's plan to extort the government or fraud the government, but hiring me on and lying, which I wouldn't, but anyway, different standards, I suppose. They're used to it over the years. We hear stories that they pay people like $1.50, $2 an hour because you're working 10, 12 hours a day, but it makes up a lot less than the minimum wage. But in any case, that's none of our business. Just a little food for thought about what this Junction Inn works like. Excuse me. Back to the fact of the matter is that we told Leslie and Perry that there's no way that this house, it had too many issues. It had a nice hardwood floor in it, and the renters that were in there before us, they had a dog. They let the dog urinate on the hardwood floors. They didn't clean it up. Now the hardwood floors was peeling up at the top of the landing where the stairs went down to the basement. The ceiling, the whole roof had, you gotta redo that differently in order to get in order not to have any snow blowing up around in your soffit.
Redo all the ceilings where
Oh
the wet
my
spots
goodness.
were and
Oh
have
my
it
goodness.
ripped all apart
Yeah.
to make sure there was no potential damage anywhere else.
Well, and then when you have that much water coming in on any rainfall, as I was saying earlier, they got a trench on the inside of the house. They got a trench running around the inside of the basement, and every time it rained, of course, this thing would fill up. Now it could fill up where it start flooding in over the. So this house was not worth the money that they were asking for, the $50,000. Like I said, they had machines there that made the house
more attractive.
Much more attractive. But when you take those machines a house and we want $50,000 for that house, well, you keep your house and we'll keep the $50,000 mortgage, unless you want to discuss what the house is worth because of the location and everything. No. So anyway, in December they came back around and we had there was a few insinuations. They gave me one number to call them, and it happened to be their daughter's number.
Yeah, it was her cell phone number.
Yeah, cell phone number. And they asked one time, and they had a gift there, I think, for Calvin. I said, "Look, we're not in the mood for a drop in now. If you had given us a call, let us know you were coming by. We could have made arrangements, but we got things going on right now." I closed the door. They come back a week later. "Well, we got an eviction for you. You have 10 days to get out. We didn't like the door being slammed, and why are you calling our daughter?" "Well, Leslie Perry, it's the only number you gave us." And as for what you put a 3-year-old and a woman through with you and your family outside that house, with a crowbar in your hands, you're getting ready to beat in a window or to try to pry a door open, and you were told, you could easily hear Nikki telling you, "You're not being let in,
guys,
until Daddy gets home." And Daddy was out shopping. Hello.
And also,
Yeah.
Let's try and get Victory Royale in Fortnite.
Well, why don't you do that? And we can probably do something about that a little later, because we're still right in the middle. Well, not entirely in the middle. We could be one way or the other. Wow. Impressive little man. My goodness. Anyway, back to Mr. Perry and Mrs. Leslie. After that day that they came around terrorizing. Now, we have some video clip of how violent they were becoming because she wouldn't let him into the house, and you could easily hear that, "I'm not letting you in until Deanna's here. If you can just wait for a little while, Deanna's going to be home, then it's okay." So when I come back, I look up the driveway, and, oh, there's 2 vehicles there, and there's Leslie and Perry, and there's obviously something going wrong. So they came back down the driveway a little bit as I was coming up. I said, "Yeah, what can I do for you?" "Well, you were paying $600 a month for rent, and then all of a sudden you paid only $450.
Debbie,
Yes, baby.
I got a new emote.
Yeah.
It said, "I hope you're happy with this emote from Epic Games." Epic Game gave me the emote. It's called Bully Bounce.
I love your old hockey, old hockey face smile with your first tooth gone. That's
Yes.
so fantastic.
Yeah, I got a new emote.
Yeah, I heard. Still got that same cute smile.
Yes.
Whoa. So, having said that, you'll see some of the video, and it's quite disturbing. Now, we didn't know it at that point in time, but after they come out of the car, now, I jumped ahead talking about the rent. Yes, we had it agreed to $700 a month, and we were not making ends meet. It is not designed to make ends meet. When I went back out to Springdale one time, I dropped into the office, social assistance office, and I was talking to the lady, and I said, I got to be able to make things work. It's just not working. The bill's just not adding up. You can see it. It's written, here it is. This is what I get. This is what goes towards rent, and this is what goes towards the family. And this is the lady at the office now. She said, Mr. Roberts, we're not giving you $600 a month to pay for a house, but to pay for rent.
In that area.
In that area. It's not worth it. If you look on your statement, you're only getting $475 a month. So having that information, this is what I did. I phoned up to Barry and Leslie. They didn't answer the telephone. I explained to them on the recording, said, look, we can't pay the $600 anymore. It's not working. The job down at the Junction Inn is not working. So if you want us to move out, that's fine. But there's $475. This is what social assistance has given us, and it's all yours. That day when they came by, going to beat in the house and terrorizing a 3-year-old and a very lovely lady, Daddy wasn't home. So their first argument was, well, the welfare is giving you $600 a month, and you phone our daughter on her phone and leave a message that you're only paying $475. Explain to those guys that that's what the system is given for that. We were giving them extra, and no, it wasn't even worth $475 with the amount of land clearing I done. To make it a safer area in the back where the garages were, clean the house, ridiculous. So they did come in the house when I got there and went up in the ceiling. I explained to them that this is what's going on. They said, well, there was an agent here from the bank, an inspector, and they couldn't explain. I said, well, you know what? You do your job, you're going to find out. I'm building a few houses in my day. You got a good knowledge of why and how things happen. So, having said that, I went outside to talk to him, seeing that Mama was not too bad. Her anxieties was coming down, and Calvin seemed to be okay. And sitting and talking to those guys, they said, yeah, they had an envelope full of money. So I said, okay, well, what's that about? And they weren't clear on that. And I said, well, you know what? You're evicting us. You're giving us 10 days notice to get out. So if you want to give back a couple $100 for the extra money that we paid you for rent that we were never given from social assistance, then yeah, I'll accept that. And good riddance, really, kicking us out in the middle of January.
Mm-hmm.
So then he piped up, Mr. Perry Shepherd piped up and said, Dion, I work for social services. And what was it, child care? Or child
services.
Child services welfare. And only one way you can take that as a threat. So, Mr. Perry Shepherd, there you have it. Well done. And the only reason that this is coming about now is because I never did, as a family, get paid from Junction Inn. A couple of times we made an attempt, and Velma Rideout Butt is Velma Rideout Butt. She's got a lot of people, relatives working in that social assistance office that bends to her every needs. And been living with Roger now for 30 and 40 years now. You're not supposed to say that because he's got credit racked up, and that's the way he's hiding from him is and under her name. So Roger Slade and Velma Rideout's butt. You've gone long overdue. Needs to be paid. Times are tough all over. You don't rip people off just because you got a business and
You've been able to get away with it for as long as you have.
so many people over the years you hear Glenda and Elvis, they were with 2 kids. Now they were working with Glenda, lovely, and Elvis, card. Working when I was there for the 3 weeks working with them alongside of them, doing my own thing, We'd have our breaks together and stuff most times. And they would say, Dion, I'm working 80, 90 hours a week, and they're only paying me $500. They're giving me top stamp. She said, I'm not even getting that. So security mattered. Security because of a few hoodlums around in that area. Junction Inn, gas station was a prime pickings. So they would expect Glenda and Elvis to stay in an apartment and under the restaurant and charge them for rent, but they would get paid the same money minus free security in the nighttime from when the businesses was closed. So there's much more to disclose. And I'm sure this video will touch on a few more things. If this is ongoing, we're going to send one out to Grand Falls where Perry works. And then the next one, this has to be seen and taken care of. Because getting used because of a fabricated criminal record, because you fit some registry because of mishaps that I'm no angel, but nowhere near the worst of it. If I had done something, it's because somebody lied or deceived somebody. And a lot of times it was alleged. It can't be proven. But because of my record, well, I pay for it. Needn't worry. Anyway, everybody have a great day. And if there's one thing to say, when you feel that there's something amiss and you're being used, it's because you probably are. And they've been at it for so long now that they expect you to say nothing and do nothing.
Because nobody's bothered to say anything.
Nobody has bothered to done it in the past. So there's interest involved. Have a great day.